I am really appreciative to Senator Reid for his willingness to tackle these tough issues and do it in a bipartisan way that we can actually achieve results for the American people. So thank you, Senator Reid, for your leadership. Thank you all for being here. This is certainly an important topic. I am particularly looking forward to hearing more about this as the chair of the Housing Subcommittee. You know, when I tackled this issue first off getting here, it's clearly an issue of supply and demand. It's also it encumbers a lot more than that. You know, when we started looking at regulations, knowing that about 25% of a new home cost is directly attributed to regulation, you think what is necessary and what is overburdensome. When you find out that, you know, Americans are no longer buying their first home, that piece of the American dream, in their late 20s, but rather in their late 30s, early 40s, if then can they achieve that? How do we make this more obtainable for every American? There's a number of approaches. Senator Reid mentioned the one that we had, of government assistance programs that will help people actually achieve upward mobility, that will help them stand on their own 2 feet and be able to live their version of the American dream, which is so critically important. But there are other things that we've been doing that we feel like can kind of claw back on some of this stuff. You know, environmental regulations under NEPA have directly stifled housing supply. When we look at Alabama, we have a great example. I loved hearing what Senator Ricketts was saying of things that they were doing in Nebraska. In Alabama, we have a great example through our Fortified Roof program. It incentivizes strong home building, and it's able to do that, you know, encouraging people to build homes that will withstand storms, obviously without exposing or imposing excessive environmental standards in the process. It has been a win-win and has been wildly successful. So there's certainly a way to do both, and there's a balance that needs to be achieved. Mr. Glacier, can you speak to the impact of erroneous environmental and land use regulations and the ability to build homes to meet those demands?
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for your leadership on this topic. It is an odd irony that often environmental regulations are counterproductive environmentally. So about 15 years ago, I wrote a paper with California environmental economist Matthew Kahn, currently at the University of Southern California, which tried to measure the carbon emissions associated with building in different parts of the country. We did this whole normalizing for family size, normalizing for income. We found, unsurprisingly, that by far the lowest carbon emission parts of the country naturally were coastal California. Nothing to do with the regulation. It's the weather, just to be entirely clear. It's Januaries that don't require you to heat like crazy, and it's Julys that don't require you to air condition, okay? If you cared about reducing America's carbon emissions, you should then be saying, let's build on the California, in San Francisco Bay. Let's add in as much housing as we possibly can. And yet California housing, partially because of the famous Friends of Mammoth case, which requires a significant environmental review locally for any California project, right? They face the most onerous environmental regulations possible. And the effect of that is moving building from places where it is good for the environment to being places where it is less good to the environment. And you see that happen over and over again. And partially it's a mistake that regulators make, that they think they're actually stopping the building. But it doesn't stop the building. It just moves it someplace else, and it moves it to a place that is worse for the environment.
No, I appreciate that. And I have a couple more follow-up questions on that. I would love to submit for the record for you if that's okay, because I want to dig down on that. I am short on time. Mayor Johnson, I heard you say to Chair Scott, talked about a little bit of the local challenges that are occurring. I am a big believer that the best thing that the federal government can do in most situations is just get out of the way. As the daughter of 2 small business owners, I saw that firsthand. I think local leaders know best, their boots on the ground, and local solutions work best for the people they serve. Can you talk briefly about how we enable and equip our state and local leaders to meet the unique challenges that their communities face, or what we can do better in that regard?
I appreciate that question, Senator, and I will tell you, it's interesting. We look to Washington for a couple things at the local level. One, you all figured out, it's money, right? We always are looking for money from Washington. But the other thing is leadership and thought leadership. And sometimes, being so close to the people, it's good. You know exactly what's going on, but it can be noisy. Sometimes the folks who are a little further away can look at a problem and see it nationally. And if you don't look at this housing issue nationally, you won't understand what's really going on. at the city level, we are competing with our other cities for people, institutional investment. We want corporate relocations. We want jobs. We want higher education institutions. We're competing for those things. So as a mayor, my job is to try to make Dallas as awesome as it can be, and make the quality of life as high as it can be. The result of that, when I'm successful, is pressure on my housing market, because we're not building enough houses, new ones, to add to the housing stock fast enough. The new folks are just adding pressure to the market in the form of more demand in terms of people and what they're willing to pay for it. They're more well compensated. Again, like I said, they're coming from the coast, and our housing market looks like a bargain to them. So what we need from, I'm saying this over and over again because I was very honored to be asked to be here today. We need the understanding of Congress that this is a problem that has to be attacked nationally, because we're just pushing the issue around. We really do need to have a build, baby, build approach to housing. And in addition to the leadership, that we were looking for from our friends here in Washington, it's not always about coming and asking for money per se in the form of a new program, but there are ways that, and it's above my pay grade, I'll let all of these wonderful pieces of legislation I'm hearing about figure out how to incent us to do what is within our purview. I would be run out of any room back home or in any group of mayors if I didn't say that we do believe that the zoning issues, the process and permitting issues are going to always be best handled at the local level. That does not mean, though, that you cannot attach, as I believe Senator Kennedy was implying, you cannot attach benefits to us doing things better and the right way. If you want to reward a city that reduces their permitting time and builds X, housing units per year that at a rate that you set, I'm all for that. Dallas will jump in that competition. We would gladly enter that competition to increase our housing starts to attract some sort of federal benefit. But it's not a new program we're looking for. It's a change in the narrative.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Chair, thank you. I have a question for Mr. Jelinek, and I will submit that for the record. I've run out of time. Thank you.
Thank you.